Hey guys, I hope you're all okay. I hope you're having a great day. I miss you all. I love you all. I'm going to start with stories for bedtime. And I'm going to do Timmy and the Tugboat. So, Timmy is a little tugboat with a big idea. He wants to be a lifeboat and rescue people in danger. But the big lifeboats laugh at Timmy and tell him he is far too small to be any help. They look so important and busy that Timmy tries to keep out of their way. He spends most days just chugging up and down the coast, keeping a lookout for anyone in distress. One day, as Timmy is passing the cliffs near the beach, he hears frantic barking. It seems to be coming from one of the caves. Timmy knows that the cave are fun to explore at low tide, but as high tide comes in and approaches, the caves begin to fill with water. Timmy thinks the dog must have gone inside the cave at low tide and now it is trapped. Timmy rings his bell to alert the lifeboats and nervously waits outside. Two big, strong lifeboats arrive within minutes. "Stand back, Timmy. You can leave this to us," they call. The boats take turns to try and squeeze through the narrow cave opening, but they are far too wide. The dog sounds really frightened now, and Timmy worries the rising sea might soon sweep him away. Timmy decides he must help and launches himself through the opening. He reaches the stranded dog seconds before the big wave sweeps into the cave, covering the very rock the dog had been clinging to. When Timmy emerges from the cave with the grateful dog, it's to a hero's welcome from the big lifeboats. From now on, brave little Timmy will patrol alongside the big boats because he knows when they need him next. I'm going to read another one from the Stories of Bedtime, and it's called The Tooth Fairy. Have you ever heard of the Tooth Fairy? She is a tiny little creature, only about the size of a thumb. When children's teeth fall out, the Tooth Fairy collects them. Next time you lose a tooth, put it under your pillow when you go to bed and leave a note with it. If you are lucky, the Tooth Fairy will take your tooth and leave a coin in its place. The Tooth Fairy has to work very hard because there are hundreds of teeth to collect every night. She takes them back to the magic land where all the fairy folk live. They use the teeth to build beautiful castles and places for the fairy king and queen. But the Tooth Fairy doesn't like bad teeth. She only picks clean, white baby teeth, which fall out by themselves. So don't forget to clean your teeth every day until they sparkle. I love you guys. Okay guys, so the next one I'm going to read is out of the 10-minute stories. Sorry, I got a bit of a cold coming, I think. Ironic. So we read the Four Clever Brothers last time. So this time we're going to read I Wonder. Once upon a time there was a man who had 3 sons, Peter, Paul, and the last of all, whom they called Youngling. I can't say the man had anything more than these 3 sons, for he hadn't one penny to rub against another. He told the lads over and over again they must go out into the world and try and earn their bread, for at home there was nothing to be looked for but starving to death. Now nearby the man's cottage was a king's palace, and you must know Just against the window, a great oak had sprung up, which was so stout and tall that it took all the light. The king had said he would give untold treasure to the man who could fell the oak. But no one was man enough for that, for as soon as one chip of the oak trunk flew off, two grew in its place. Two the king desired, which was to hold water for the whole year, for all his neighbours had wells, but he hadn't any, and that he thought a shame. So the king said he would give both money and goods to anyone who could dig him such a well as would hold water for the whole year round. But no one could do it, for the palace laid high upon a hill, and they could only dig a few inches before they came upon rock. But as the king had set his heart on having these two things done, he had given out far and wide in all the churches of his domain that he who could fell the big oak in the king's courtyard and could get a well that would hold water for the whole year round should have the princess and half the kingdom. Well, you may easily know there was many men who came to try his luck, but all their hacking and all their hoeing, all their digging and all their delving, nowhere and no one were no avail. The oak grew taller and stouter at every stroke, and the rock grew no softer. So one day the three brothers, thought they'd set off and try to, and their father hadn't a word against it. For even if they didn't get the princess and half the kingdom, it might happen that they would get a place somewhere with a good master, and that it was all he wanted. So when the brothers said they thought of going to the palace, their father said yes at once, and Peter and Paul and Youngling went off for their home. They had not gone far before they came to a fir wood, and along one side of it rose a steep hillside. And as they went, they heard something hoeing and hacking away at the top of a hill among the trees. I wonder now, what is it that's hoeing away on yonder, Youngling? You are always so clever with your wonderings, said Peter and Paul, both at once. What a wonder is it, pray, that the woodcutter should stand and hack up on a hillside. Still, I'd like to see what it is, after all, said Youngling, and up he went. Oh, if there's such a child, it'll do you good to go and take a lesson, cried out his brothers after him. But Youngling didn't care for what they said. He climbed the steep hillside towards where the noise came, and when he reached the place, what do you think he saw? Why, an axe! An axe that stood there hacking and hoeing, all by itself at the trunk of a fir tree. Good day, said Youngling. So you stand here all alone and hoe. Do you? Yes, here I've stood, and here I've hoed, and here I've hacked a long time, waiting for you, my lad, said the axe. Well, here I am at last, said Youngling. as he took the axe and pulled it off its shaft and stuffed both the head and the shaft into his wallet. So when he climbed down again to his brothers, they began to cheer and laugh at him. "And now, what funny thing was it you saw up on the hillside?" they said. "Oh, it was only an axe, we heard," said the youngling. When they had gone on a bit further, they heard something digging and shovelling. "I wonder now," said youngling, "what it is digging and shovelling up yonder on the top of the rock." "Ah, you're always so clever with your wonderings," said Peter and Paul again, as if you'd never heard a woodpecker hacking and pecking at a hollow tree. "Well, well, well," said youngling, "I think it would be a piece of fun just to see what it really is." And so off he set to climb the rock, while the others laughed and made fun of him. But he didn't care for that. Up he climbed, and when he got near the top, what do you think he saw? Why, a spade that stood there digging and shovelling. "Good day," said youngling. "So you stand here all alone and dig and delve?" "Yes, that's what I do," said the spade. "And that's what I've done this many a long day, waiting for you, my lad." "Well, here I am," said youngling again, as he took the spade and knocked off the handle and put it into his wallet, and then he climbed back down again to his brothers. "Well, what was it so strange and rare," said Peter and Paul, "that you saw up there at the top of the rock?" "Oh," said youngling, "nothing more than a spade. That was what we heard." So they went on again a good bit, till they came to a brook. They were thirsty after their long walk, and so they sat beside the brook and have a drink. "I have a great fancy to see where this comes from," said youngling. So up alongside the brook he went, and in spite of all that his brothers shouted after him, nothing could stop him. On he went, and as he went up and up and up, the brook grew smaller and smaller and smaller, and at the top, a little way further on, what do you think he saw? Why, a great walnut, and out of it the water trickled. "Good day," said youngling again. "So you lie here trickling and running down all alone?" "Yes, I do," said the walnut. "And here I have trickled and ran this many a long day, waiting for you, my lad." "Well, here I am," said youngling again, as he took a lump of moss and plugged up the hole so that the water wouldn't run out. Then he put the walnut into his wallet and ran down to his brothers. "Well," said Peter and Paul, "have you found where the water comes from? A rare sight it must have been. Oh, after all, it was only a hole it ran out of," said youngling. And the others laughed and made games of him again. But youngling didn't mind that, not one bit. So when they had gone a little further, they came to the king's palace. But as every man in the kingdom had heard that he might win the princess and half the realm, if he could only fell the big oak and dig the king's well, so many had come to try their luck at the oak. The oak was twice the size, twice as stout, and twice as big as it had been at first. For you will remember that 2 chips grow for every one that is hacked out with an axe. So the king had now laid it down as a punishment that if anyone tried and couldn't fell the oak, he should be put on a barren island, and both his ears were to be chopped off. But the 2 brothers didn't let themselves be frightened by this threat. They were quite sure they could fell the orc, and Peter, as he was the eldest, was to try his hand first. But it went with him as with all the rest who had hawed at the orc. For every chip he could grew two in its place. So the king's men seized him and chopped off both his ears and put him on a barren island. Now Paul was to try his luck, but he feared just the same. When he had hawed 2-3 strokes, he began to see the orc grow, and so the king's men seized him, took and chopped off his ears, and put him on the island. And they clipped his ears closer, because they said he ought to know better and take lesson from his brother. So now Youngling was to try. If you want to look like a marked sheep, we're quite ready to clip your ears at once, and then save yourself some trouble, said the king, for he was angry with him and his brothers, because of his brothers. Well, I'd just like to try first, said Youngling, and so he was given permission. When he took his axe out of his wallet and fitted it to the handle, he hacked and hawed away, said he to his axe. Hack and haw away, he said to his axe, and away he hacked, making the chips fly again, so that it wasn't long before down came the giant orc. When that was done, Youngling pulled out the spade and fitted it to the handle. Dig away, he said. The spade. And so the spade began to dig and delve till the earth and the rock flew out. It splintered and flew out and splintered. And he soon had the well deep enough, you may believe. And when he had got it as big and as deep as he could, Youngling took out the walnut, laid it on the corner of the well, pulled out the plug of the moss. Trickle and run, said Youngling. And so the nut trickled and ran till the water gushed out of the hole in the stream. And in short time the well was full. So, as Youngling had felled the orc, and shaded the king's palace, and dug a well in the palace yard, he got the princess and half the kingdom, as the king had said. But it was lucky for Peter and Paul that they had lost their ears, else they might have grown tired of hearing how everyone said each hour of each day, well, after all, Youngling wasn't so much out of his mind when he took to wandering. Okay guys, wow. So I'm going to do one last one from the stories for bedtime. And then I'll upload this one for your bedtime for tonight. Rainy Day Puppets. It's rainy today, and Rosanna and Francesca are trying to think of something to do. Mummy asked them to look under their bed to see what they can find between them. They discovered 3 odd socks and an old black glove. The girls put their finds on the kitchen table where Mummy had laid out felt tips, buttons, glue, scissors and some scraps of material. Mummy helps the girls to sew on button eyes, draw noses and mouths on the socks. When using the glue, they stuck multicoloured strips on to make their hair. The hand puppets look really cool, and Rosanna and Francesca can't wait to show them to all their friends. But what shall we make with this old glove? Asked Rosanna. Mummy draws 2 crossed-looking eyes and sticks them to the glove. The children still do not know what it is supposed to be. Put the glove on, Francesca, says Mummy. Now the girls see what the five-legged spider... Cool! They laughed. Have a good night, guys. I love you all. Sleep well. I miss you all and I'll see you all soon.